and welcome to another year of the Phantom Gallery Chicago Network Open Studio. We're doing virtual and hybrid as part of the Bronzeville Art District Art Walk. So, so we're really excited about the programming this year because the Phantom Gallery Chicago Network offices are closed, and we will not have a studio or have openings here in the artist lofts. What we are doing is programming in an empty lot that we're converting into a pop-up movie theater. And actually, we're also presenting a pop-up concert series with special guest artists and jazz performers that are part of the AACM. The Phantom Gallery will be presenting the experimental film series with artist Renee Baker showing some of her experimental films at dusk. We're inviting our neighbors to come out and enjoy, the movie. It's free and open to the public. Susan Fox with Culture Coach will be bringing the Culture Coach that opens out into a performance stage. The Culture Coach goes all around Chicago to different venues and hosts concerts. We're really excited about that because it brings a live entertainment and also creates social distancing as part of our hybrid programming here in the Bronzeville Art District. We're going to have an art talk with Renee talking about her experimental films and talking about her junk drawers, an installation that Because We Are Nature was an installation that she created here with the Phantom last year, and we're going to continue that series with her presenting and talking about her experimental work. We also have artists that will be presenting as part of the Open Studio series entitled Culture Quilt. Because all of this is a part of the whole theme of cultural quilts and how quilts are coming together and piecing together programming. Here at the Phantom Gallery, we invited quilters and textile fabric artist Trish Williams, and she will be presenting her textiles during the virtual open studio. And also Rhonda Hardy with Urban Design will be presenting her soft sculptured Bronzeville babes, And we also have Daphne Burgess will be presenting her textile projects where she is using wool and embroidered wool. And she'll be talking about that technique during the Open Studio virtual trolley tour. Another program that we will be presenting in this month, in August, is called Either Wrong or Right, Just Examine. And it's a part of the curatorial fellowship that Adira Knott and myself curated at the Evanston Arts Center. And we will present part of that documentation in a series. And you'll be able to listen to some of the recordings where we explore themes of art and wellness, documentation, racism, and spirituality. And we'll introduce those artists that talked about how it affects and empowers their work and how art and social justice intersects with the work that they're doing in Chicagoland. We also will be talking to Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum. Last year, during our Open Studio programming, they were about to embark upon an expansion. So we'll talk about where they are in that expansion and what's been happening at the museum since they opened for business in March. And we'll be able to take a short video of the work that they're doing there in Sacramento, California. This year, we also have a pop-up research station where we offer a cafe. And we'll talk a little bit to Liza Simone, who is our tech support, and she also is the curator of the Phantom Galleries in Los Angeles. We'll present part of what the cafe is all about and the collaboration between Los Angeles and Chicago and the Near Northwest Arts Council, and how we are collecting data about our art practice for the last 20 years. And then we'll end our programming this in October with the International Art Group, Connecting Cultures and What Happened and Oceans Between, and their tour of Germany as they exhibit here during the fall. that's what we're going to be doing this year for the virtual challenge. And welcome. Well, this summer, the Phantom Gallery will be working and talking with artists about curatorial practice. And I have here today Susan Fox, and she's going to talk to us about how our curatorial practice intersects and the experimental work that we've done here in Chicago and abroad. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Alpha.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Susan Fox. I am now inhabiting not only Chicago but also in Madison, Wisconsin, and I am here to talk about the Culture Coach Traveling Stage. It's one of my main topics because it's near and dear to me. The story of how Alpha and I were finally, after many years of trying to work together on the Culture Coach. But to get back to what Alpha mentioned, we've worked together for quite a few years. Since 2008, we were working at an arts organization called Logistic Arts, which is in Logan Square. And I presented musicians, live music, and Alpha was doing the same with art, and wonderful pieces of her own art, but then also bringing other people into this. And we had, as part of Chicago Artist Month, we had many blocks of Logan Square, Milwaukee Avenue, and other streets that were just alive with art and music. And we did a project called the Intersections, where we brought in musicians who, Tatsu Aoki and his family, who performed Asian music, his own creations, but representing that part of what is available in Chicago. And then we also had jazz using the AACM musicians, and we did what we call intersections, where we would bring them together. So that was part of our past.
But before we move on to that, let's talk about when we created and presented Intersections in Berlin.
Yes. Like you said, the international aspect of it too. That was a absolutely wonderful idea that Alpha had, that since I was going to Paris anyway, that perhaps we could do something in Germany where she was. And so we did. And we brought over Hannah John Taylor, again an AACM musician, and then there were some others that I don't remember as well.
Well, we had an artist that just showed up from the Philharmonic. We had an artist that came in from Chicago that showed up, and they all came together and never met each other before, and they did this total improvisation. Alan Emerson Hicks performed his experimental sculpture that he does on stage, and then we had artists that were from Berlin that showed up and were actually painting to the sounds of the music. Mm-hmm. And we were at Marlborough Park, and Marlborough Park was a zone after the Iron Curtain came down. It was a horrible zone where the Jewish and the German it was a slaughter zone, and they turned it into a outdoor park and gathering space, for tourists and for people that live there. So what we're doing with Intersections, is just showing up and presenting. J.V. Montgomery came in from Chicago, videotaped his tour coming from Chicago, the airport ride from the Berlin airport, and presented it in a projection. As what we're going to do this summer with experimental film, with Renee Baker and projecting. But tell us a little bit about our hybrid programming and how we're going to use the Culture Coach this summer here in Bronzeville.
Right. The Culture Coach is a traveling stage that when you turn a key, it pops open, and it becomes a stage. So you would never know looking at it that it in 5 minutes it would be a stage. That it's something that my partner Hannah John Taylor, we were partners in cultural center in Madison, Wisconsin, called the Madison Center for Creative and Cultural Arts. When we shut down because of the economic issues of the nonprofit world, Hannah found a stage. He found the stage. It had been decommissioned by the city of Madison Metropolitan School District. And he was sure that there was a stage somewhere that could be used for jazz, to take jazz around the city of Madison. Well, it turned out he was correct, and he did find it. And when he came to me and he said, "We're going to buy this," I said, "No, we're not. We don't have any money." And he said, "Well, it's only $2,000." I said, "We don't have $2,000." But what we did is someone loaned us the money, and then I wrote a grant, and we were able to pay back the loan. We started by what we're doing now, bringing music to the parks, especially to areas of Chicago that very seldom have live music. The venues are no longer available, especially, it's here in Bronzeville. This was once home to many, many, many wonderful venues, especially jazz and blues. And so that's part of the mission, and that's one of the reasons that it's here in Bronzeville, is because not everybody has the opportunity to go to a concert and pay to listen to jazz or whatever. It might be another genre also. So, just today we had somebody stop, a mom and her 2 children stop by to look, and it's certainly it's an attraction. It's a pop-up. What is here already, and then when the stage arrives, it will be another pop-up opportunity, and with some wonderful music that we're going to be
This is part of Chicago Presents, where the whole city of Chicago are encouraging presenters to present in unutilized areas, vacant lots, empty lots, alleyways, and making them people places. And we just want to thank the Department of Cultural Affairs for their supporting the Bronzeville Art District and making this concert series possible. Hi, Renee. Welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome. I'm excited about our film series film festival that you're presenting this summer. If you want to give us a brief synopsis of what your project will be.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be kind of back active after so much time down. But my idea, which I was thrilled you agreed to do, was to hold what I call a satellite experimental film festival. So in keeping with your idea of making the urban landscape habitable, comfortable, homogeneous, I decided that, unlike many of the other film festivals that I've done, I decided to not do silent film, but to do all films that were pretty much born out of the lack of outward activity during the pandemic. And so I put together a selection of films for the 3 months, all with original artwork, original film, and my own scores. recorded by the Chicago Modern Orchestra Project, to just give people an idea of this new breath of freedom that we're experiencing now as we're able to go back outside and safely encounter each other. And so these films basically are a culmination of all the filming techniques and different media that I decided to access and learn about during this shutdown time. So we've got them of varying lengths. The average film is 10 to 12 minutes each. And so they're designed to run concurrently with not necessarily any one narrative, but just a chance for you to sit back and let your brain take in the visuals and experience and enjoy the music, and see something that you probably would not ever see in a regular movie theater.
Great. We've been talking about this concept and you doing your artist in residency here at the Phantom Gallery, and you started doing small studio screenings.
Yes, yes. I loved coming into the idea of your space was so perfect for the formation of a MicroCinema, which for me is a screening of any sort of art film or non-commercial film for anywhere from like 8 to 12 people. And every time we did screenings there, we pretty much met those goals. We always had small, very, very appreciative, funny audiences. I love the fact that you made the atmosphere as conducive inside as it would be in a regular movie theater, complete with popcorn and snacks and laughter and conversation and comfortable chairs. So I hope to continue the MicroCinema rubric, but I'll continue that in the fall of 21 at Phantom Gallery, but going back to my specialty of dealing with films between 1898 and 1926. So focus this summer for me is on the experimental avant-garde films.
So you sent me this statement. You have it in front of you. You talk about you as a filmmaker and composer and how you see the outgrowth of experimental media as part of your overall art practice trajectory.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I found has been really special for me in my practice is that I have been able to really marry all of these arenas. I just feel very lucky that as a composer and as a conductor with my own ensemble, that I'm also able to craft not just scores for the silent films, but to actually sit down and learn the software, et cetera, for producing my own films, which I just adore experimental film of all kinds. But I just feel very, very fortunate that I'm able to put it all together and in one fell swoop kind of make a multimedia, multidisciplinary product, because some of these films are poetry films, some of them are art films, some of them are almost tantamount to music videos, but they're all born out of a not necessarily linear narrative. They're just designed to kind of take you on a spaceship ride, not necessarily through Afrofuturism, but there is some Afrofuturism involved, because we have to be sure that our persona and our art and our practices are all going to be present in the future. So all this is included in this big arena of experimental film for me.
You know, that's a great concept and a great idea, and I really love the way your mind works in the experimentalness of your abstract and how it mirrors your visual art and your sculptures. They mirror the abstractness of the your film world. I have a slide up now on Because We Are Nature exhibition, and it's been up a couple. You know, this is it hasn't been viewed because we've been going through the pandemic and the Phantom Gallery has been closed. So we're making sure this year we're featuring the sculpture work. And could you talk a little bit about Because We Are Nature, which is currently on view at the Phantom Gallery?
Yeah, that actually was probably one of my most favorite conceptual projects. And it was born out of the idea from a piece of poetry that I found by a poet named John Cone. And I wrote him and asked him for permission to actually take that poem and enact it and make it 3D. And so the concept is basically that we all have containers and drawers and corners in our lives where we hide things and we put things away. And we think that people don't see them, but everyone that looks in our corners and in our drawers and in our cubbies can see the things that we hold important. But so that we're not considered hoarders, we try to give some kind of order to them. And so in these drawers, these kind of cabinets of curiosities, in these drawers are things that I put in that you would normally maybe kind of hide because the clutter of it would change the look of the room. So we all have these junk drawers. We all have these things that we hide away from everyone. And so the concept was basically bringing to light some of those things that we hide. Some of them were funny, some of them from childhood, some of them are born from the angst that we feel as adults in the working world. But it's all there, and there's no rhyme or reason to why we put what we put in those drawers. So if you open your kitchen junk drawer, if you're super organized, you might not have one, but chances are you got a cabinet or a drawer somewhere that you just dump stuff in. And so that was the concept behind Because We're Nature. It is our nature to kind of squirrel things away that are important to us.
And that is amazing. I grew up with my mother having a junk drawer, you know, where she just tossed things in. And I think, I don't know, every household, even the kitchen, you got a gadget drawer where you just kind of chunk, you know, I say use the word chunk, kind of just toss things in too. So this is, again, one of my favorite installations. And it's been up and I've been able to, you know, inhale it in this space because it is a little workspace and it's here. And I'm happy to, again, have it on display because of the fact that it was not seen, but we documented.
Oh, you know what? It was seen when we opened because that was pre-pandemic. Remember, we opened in January.
Yes, we did. But in terms of the Bronzeville Art District trolley tour, when we had guests in our spaces, the Phantom Gallery was closed to the public on the onset of the pandemic. And we were virtually last year, we were able to showcase the work as part of our intros and as part of your feature. But in terms of there's a different feeling about work when it's upfront and personal than it is on a video or, you know, a still. So you have to walk around these pieces to really enjoy, you know, the concept that you have in front of us and explore them. I love the way that the paint is oozing off of the drawers, you know, and it's a moment in time that's still like a Dada. It's just still and kind of hanging over as an inference that it's going to peel off or ooze off to the ground.
I got
So those are things that I don't see in the photographs, but you feel them when you're up front exploring the piece.
Yeah, the idea of the paint was primarily because you have all these items in the drawer, but the use of the paint was an attempt to cover up and change the nature of what was in the drawer, to almost make it acceptable, make it kind of homogeneous, so that, oh, that little toy soldier or that spoon or that fork or that truck didn't really stand out. It just became part of the miasma of what was inside this cabinet. And again, I call these cabinets, like, they call them like Wunderkammer. So it's like a cabinet of curiosities, and it's full of hodgepodge with no rhyme or reason. But the use of paint with these pieces was to basically take the attention away from any one piece, to make it all blend under that one coat of color.
Thank you, Renee. I really look forward to this summer and how we are going to do the tactical urbanism in the horizontal landscape, and working with you with the experimental film series titled Satellite Experimental Film Festival,
Yep.
which will be viewed on the third Friday of each month, starting in July 16th, and August and September, as part of the Bronzeville Art District Art Walk. Right.